every single thing is peaking right now. And it's really starting to feel like, everything on this earth has reached its max potential. Like, we're not seeing huge innovations to things anymore. At best, we're seeing refinements to things that used to be innovative. I promise, if you open your crusty, unemployed eyes for 1 second, you will see that almost everything is starting to peak. I'm talking about from sports, music, video games, everything is peaking. And the first example I want to use of things peaking is the NBA. Now, in terms of viewership, the NBA is doing the complete opposite of peaking. Shout out streamies. But the types of players in the NBA is what's peaking. See, if you've seen an NBA game, highlights, TikTok, whatever, you know not only is the NBA getting infested by a whole bunch of light skins named Jalen with big hair, but it's starting to become this game of which 7-footer can do the most.
Gets got it off in time!
You see, with NBA players like Jokic, Giannis, Wemby, NBA players the size of centers but moving like guards, except for Jokic, being able to guard 1 through 5 with ease, except for Jokic. I should have said KD or something. Regardless of my poor examples, it still doesn't take away from the fact that positionless basketball is basketball now. Everyone can shoot, everyone can dribble, everyone can switch 1 through 5. And as time goes on, players are only gonna get better. Some of them. And you know, back in the day, basketball used to be about X's and O's and everyone playing their role and whatever offense the plumbers played back in the day. But now it's just all about length, skill, and IQ. When did the NBA turn into And the NBA is getting so crazy right now that it's only a matter of time till we see a starting 5 of pure Wembys. All 7-footers who can shoot, dribble, and guard 1 through 5. And as time goes on, the NBA strays further and further from small guards. Cause once upon a fucking time, Isaiah Thomas was on the team where the whole roster was built around him and was in MVP conversations. But now Isaiah Thomas can't even wipe the sweat off an NBA court. And all of this really has me thinking, what do we even do once everybody can do everything? Because it's really getting to that point. Every NBA team already has a crippling addiction to spacing. They all run 5 out, chug 3s, and hope for the best. And once we get to that point where there's 5 7-footers on the court and they all shoot 40% from 3, what's even next for basketball after that? Anyways, next thing I want to talk about that peak is music. Now, I know I'm not the only one who feels like this, but it feels like music has been in this limbo for the last couple years. Like, nothing I'm hearing is complete ass. Well, at least not more ass than usual. But at the same time, nothing I'm hearing is really sticking with me like that. You know? It's like I'll hear a song, oh, this was decent, and then I'll completely forget about it and never play it again. Like, Frank Ocean can come back with a surprise album, which personally I wouldn't care too much about, but I know a lot of people do. Michael Jackson could come back with a surprise album with music all recorded from the 90s, and subconsciously in my head, I already know it's mid. Like, at this point, the only music I really kinda maybe get excited for is a Young Boy single. And a lot of that excitement is just nostalgia from high school. But he made Slime Belief. Now look, I'm not gonna lie, I do remember hearing something like the music you listen to in high school is the music you're gonna listen to for the rest of your life. Oh, so rap hasn't peaked. My monkey brain's just still stuck in 2016. But as time goes on, I just don't think that's the fucking case. Because in the last couple years, we've seen blatant copycats. We're seeing some of the most laziest sampling I've ever heard in my life. Like, not too long ago, people used to sample like they were actually scared to get sued. But now it just seems like people get the beat, add a couple drums, some snares, and call it a day. But at the same time, it's like, what else can really be done? Like, it's not 2008 anymore, and putting auto-tune and 808s is like this new revolutionary thing. And look, I'm going to be honest. Rap music not too long ago was in its infant stages. So any slight variation that you did to what was already considered the norm was considered revolutionary. And looking back at it in retrospect, it makes you think, like, was it really that impressive?
Huh?
And it's like, we're in such a limbo right now with music. At this point, people are just doing things that don't make sense, just at the slim hope that they're considered an innovator and different. Look, honestly, right now, it is probably the hardest it has ever been to be a rapper. Drake and Kendrick are taking all the streams. AI's making Justin Bieber sing niggas in Paris. I don't know what to tell y'all rappers. Figure it out. And don't cop out and try to become a streamer. Can regular people have anything? Anyways, the next thing I want to talk about that peaked are video games. Wow, sports, music, video games. Tell me you have a 90% male audience without saying you have a 90% male audience. Gaming. The saddest and the most obvious peak on this list. Like, I remember being able to spend hours, maybe even days on this piece of machinery. But nowadays, I just find myself doom scrolling, trying to find that same joy video games used to give me. And just like the other things I talked about on this list, what can video games even do to be innovative? Because back in the day, all a video game really needed was multiplayer, and it was one of the best games out. Now multiplayer is a bare minimum for every video game. We did VR, that failed. We did motion gaming, and most of those consoles failed except for the Wii. And then the Wii just stopped motion gaming altogether and went back to the controller. And it's crazy because it's like the video game stock is like the lowest it's ever been, but video games are more capable than ever. Every game has crossplay, and look, I'm not gonna lie, crossplay has been a little underwhelming. It's crazy because if you would have told me 10, 15 years ago I can play with my friends on PlayStation while I'm on Xbox, I would have thought you were lying. And crossplay is here in full effect, at least on the games that matter, and no one plays video games no more. And something else I feel like that makes video games really boring is everyone having to play the same way. Like, I'm gonna use 2K and Call of Duty for example. I know what I sound like, but just hear me out. All right, let me talk about Call of Duty first. So in Call of Duty, everybody knows at least 85 to 90% of the guns in the game are ass. Now, with 90% of the guns being ass, it causes the majority of the community to use the same guns. Now on 2K, it's really the same thing, but instead of guns, it's your dream man. Now, yes, on 2K, you do have the freedom to make your character however you want, but with builds costing more than the actual game itself, it makes the 2K community very hesitant on what builds they want to make, in fear of them spending $100 on a build that they don't even like. And everybody knows however good that build is determines how good that 2K is. So every year on 2K, there's usually a handful of builds that are actually viable in the game. And just like the Call of Duty community, options of things that can actually be competitive are very limited. And look, I know a lot of people are thinking GTA 6 is gonna come out and save gaming, but it's not. That expectation is just way too high to put on one game. And let's be honest, 90% of y'all are gonna call it mid the first hour it drops. Now, out of everything I talked about so far, I feel like gaming has the best chance at coming back to its peak. Because look, I'd be lying if I said every game that dropped this year was just complete ass. So in the middle of me recording this video, some pictures of Jalen Williams came out showing him pretty much just copying Kobe. And this is a perfect example of why I say everything is peaking. And honestly, I don't know what's worse, this or Jason Tatum texting Kobe Bryant after he passed, "I got you, bro. Finger cross emoji." Yo, these light-skinned niggas, bro. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end the video here. Depending on how good the video does, I'll probably do a part 2, because there's some other things I could talk about that peaked. Movies, everything. But yeah, thank you for watching. Peace.